What's up, guys? Good evening. My name is Ryan, and this is my market update for 6-4 going into 6-5. So today was a rough day for me. I got killed. Growth got destroyed despite the strength in the market. So just looking around, I have the transportation index up. Clearly, the transportation index led the way today. So things like airlines and Boeing all really led the charge today and were strong. And that's where money was going into. Um, that's also apparent on the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones was flat. And look at the Qs. The Qs were actually down slightly after making a new all-time high, and that's because tech, enterprise software, and general growth names are all still getting rotated out of. There's some real serious rotation occurring right now, and I trade almost entirely in growth stocks, so I got killed. All my stocks were down today. Every position I was in, I was down. So I had to reduce my size. I cut back on several positions. I got smaller. I got myself where I'm not on hardly any margin now. So I'm still 100% in, but I really got my exposure down just because today was concerning. I think generally the market's still quite bullish. Every index is above the short term moving averages, but I am concerned about how leading stocks are starting to pull back a little bit. I'm not predicting like anything serious as a crash or anything, but I could see a pause here in the market unless leading stocks were to perk up here on Friday, which they very well could. That's why I didn't sell everything, and I just pulled back. And if Friday's a good day, I'll show you on my portfolio. I'd be willing to put more risk back into the market. So, and just to show what I'm talking about with that rotation, FFTY is an index that tracks growth stocks, and growth stocks were down almost 2% on a day where the Dow Jones was flat. So growth stocks got killed, but not killed enough to be worried about them. And as you can see for the last few weeks, growth stocks have actually been pretty choppy. And that's been about how my portfolio performance has been as well because of the stocks I play. So here's what I'm in, or here's what I did today. I went ahead and cut my loss on ALNY. I bought it here, sold it today as it was breaking down. I'd be willing to rebuy this if it got back above the 8-day moving average. It just looks like it needs to chop at the 50-day a little bit longer, so I went ahead and cut out of it because I was down on it. I didn't buy a very big position in here because of how volatile the stock was, so there's like a 4% loss, but dollar-wise, it's not a very big loss. Took my loss on BJ. This is one I bought right here on Monday, and then I cut it today as it fell through the 8-day moving average. I might be willing to rebuy this. I was kind of playing it for a quick pop, didn't get it, had to take a 4% loss, but again, it was a smaller position size. Chegg, this one was gross. I took like a 6% loss on Chegg. I bought it 2 days ago. I should have just sold it because of how weak it closed. That's not really my typical entry, but I went ahead and held it another day, and then it dojied yesterday. So I held it, and then sure enough today it breaks the 20-day moving average. So I went ahead and got out of it, and I have a rule where if I get more than a 7% loss, I just take it. So I was right around my 7% loss and went ahead and just took the loss. I broke even on Fortinet. I bought it last week, and then I sold it for about a 1% gain today just to get some portfolio risk down just because of how weak today was for me. IRTC, I bought this yesterday, took like a 2% loss on it today. I had a very small position in this, and just it needs to chop more, so I got it off the books because it was a loss. Netflix, I cut half my position on Netflix for a loss. I originally bought Netflix over here on this day and that day, and then I cut the whole position on this day right here, and then I rebought some the day after once it caught at the 50. And I've been sitting in it since it caught at the 50, but I sold half of what I rebought. So I've got a smaller than average. I've got like a 40% position in Netflix right now, and I'm a seller of this. If it were to cut below today's lows, and if it bounces and closes above the 8-day, I'll rebuy what I bought. So I'm just managing the risk here. As long as Netflix stays above the 50, this is a very good trade, but if it's below the 50, I hate this trade. So that's why I cut half of it. And then I let go of ServiceNow. ServiceNow has been tricky. I bought it this day, sold it this day for a small loss, and then I rebought it this day, and then I sold it today for a small loss again. So I've been chopped in and out of ServiceNow. I think this is going to resolve to the upside, but I went ahead and cut it just because I was at a loss on it, and again, today was a bad day for me. And then Sprouts, I made 1% on Sprouts. I bought it like right here, and I sold it today for 1% gain just because it closed below the T line, which is this 8-day red dotted line. I'm still in Apple. Apple's one that is just real simple. If it breaks these short-term moving averages, I'll get out. If not, I'm just going to hold it. I've got a small gain in here. I'm still in Adobe. I've got a decent gain in Adobe. I bought it this day right here as the candle was forming. So I've got a little bit of wiggle in Adobe. If it were to close below the yellow line, that's where I would get cut loose of this one. Still in Amazon. Amazon, as long as it's above these short-term moving averages, I like it. If it were to be weak tomorrow, I'd probably reduce it, cut it in half. I've got a few shares. And then BioMarin, this is one that I bought right here at 95 bucks. So my whole position right now, and I don't have a huge position here. I've got like a 60% position, but I bought 60% of my position right here, and I've just been letting it ride. So I've got such a good buy point that I'm going to let this thing trade all day tomorrow and make up my mind at the end of the day. If it closes super weak, I'll probably sell a good chunk of it. If it closes just anywhere in between 100 and 105, I'll probably just hold it and see if I can get this thing to higher low. Because if it higher lows, I think this could be a really winning trade. It's a great company, great earnings. It's a biotech, and I've got a buy point that I don't really think I can lose money on unless some kind of crazy news comes out overnight and the stock gaps down. So I want to try to see if I can hold this thing for the big move if there's going to be one. Still in Domino's. I've got like a 4 or 5% gain on Domino's. I bought it here just below 370. So what is that? It's a 4% gain. I'm going to try to hold Domino's all day because it tends to be a stock that I'm going to try to hold it for the 21 plus a day because the 21 plus 1 day keeps you in it for the whole trend. And I think Domino's is one that can grind higher as long as the market stays bullish. So I'm going to try to hang on to this one as a core position. I'm still in Facebook. I'll probably sell it if it undercuts this low past 930. So somewhere around 220 or the 20-day moving average. I'm just going to close my whole position. I've got about a 60% position in Facebook. So I'm trying to see if it can get it to decisively close above these short-term moving averages again. Then I'm going to size it up and make it a full position. But if it stays weak, I'm going to take my gain on it. I've got my buy somewhere around 208. So selling it at 220 would be a 6% gain. And I'll just take that money and walk if it doesn't catch tomorrow. Still in Melly. That's kind of a gross candle today, but it's above all the short-term moving averages, and my buy is at 750. So I'm going to try to give this thing the full day tomorrow and let it wiggle and see if it can hold up in an acceptable manner. If it were to close weak, I'd sell at least half of it and go forward from there. I'm still in Microsoft. As long as it closes above this yellow line, I'm not touching this position. If it closes below the yellow line, I'm going to reduce the position size. And then we already talked about Netflix. PayPal. PayPal is one I'm still in. As long as it holds up by the end of the day, I'm going to stay in it. If it closes weak, I'm going to reduce the position size because this is a bigger position for me. I'm in Regeneron. As long as Regeneron stays above probably this 10-day moving average by the close, I'm going to stay in it because my buy is at 565, I believe. I bought it mid-candle right here. So, and Regeneron's one. I actually love the way this looks. On a weekly chart, Regeneron just made a new all-time high because you can see this is a big range that it's been in since 2016. And look at this volume that it occurred on. It made a new high on monster volume. So I think Regeneron's going to keep rising. And Regeneron's also one of the few stocks that didn't even correct during the coronavirus sell-off. You look at the action in March and then just compare that to the action of the NASDAQ. Regeneron wasn't even aware of that sell-off. So I love this stock. I think it could be a real winner, and I'm going to try to give it a lot of respect to see if I can hang in there and get the big move here. And then I'm still in Vertex. This is one I'll reduce tomorrow if it's red. I've got a full position in this stock. I'll reduce it if it's red, and if it jumps, then I'm just going to hold it and let it ride. I've been playing it for the last 2 or 3 months, so I've made decent money in Vertex, but it is clearly starting to get volatile. But it's holding the 50. The 50 is where I would cut out on the whole position, but I'm going to reduce it down if it cuts below today's price action because it's almost certainly going to fall to the 50 if it doesn't hold this doji candle. Then lastly, I'm still in Zigzy. As long as Zigzy holds this like 1850 level, I'm not going to touch it. But if it's weak tomorrow, I'll probably cut it in half and then see how it closes. So that was my day. As you can see, everything I was in was down. But that's how the cookie crumbles. I mean, growth stock. I've got a system and I follow my rules. I don't make money every day, but as long as I follow my rules and manage my risk, I end up making money by the end of the quarter. And that's kind of my goal, is to make money every quarter. I did play some offense. The only offense I played today was at the close. I bought some Davita, and this is a play I talked about yesterday. Um, I didn't buy big. I bought what did I buy? About a 30% of a position right here. It just had really high volume. I see this as a cup with handle, and if you look at it on a weekly chart, I think it looks a little better. You can see the cup, the handle, and it's coming up to the handle buy point. So I started with 30%. If it's green again tomorrow, I'll buy a little bit more. And then if it's red tomorrow, as long as it holds this candlestick, I'm not going to touch it. And that's my plan. If it breaks this candlestick, I'll be out of the position for, what is that going to be, about a 4% loss on a 30%? Yeah, 4% loss on a 30% position. So not a big dollar amount. And that's what I did for the most part today. There are a few stocks I like going into tomorrow that I'm keeping my eye on. For one, I'm still watching Dexcom. Dexcom's coming into this 50-day moving average. If Dexcom can catch at this 50 and get above the T line, I'm buying that every day of the week. This thing's a monster growth stock. I rode this leg of the uptrend, and I even rode it last year during this leg of the uptrend. I think Dexcom's got way more upside, but I don't buy stocks that are below the 8-day moving average. So it's got to get above the 8-day. I still like Tandem. These stocks are in the same group, same story. If this can get above that 50, or if it can catch at the 50 and get above the 8-day, I want in. But as long as it's falling, I'm not going to buy it. But I am watching this. The trade desk, it broke out yesterday, pulled back modestly today. I might start a position in it if it trades or catches at the T line. TTD, this is a cup with a high handle, and it broke out, and now it could be pulling back constructively. If that's a constructive pullback, I might sneak in. Same story with Tesla, cup, handle, pulling back modestly. If it starts turning green, I might start a position in Tesla. Bristol Myers, I like this as an early buy in a cup with handle. If it's green tomorrow, I might start a position and see if I can get in. It's right off the 50. I like that action. I like to buy pullbacks and uptrends. That's kind of my thing. This one's more speculative. I don't know if I'd actually go for this, but Nautilus, it's a little cheap. It's kind of the same, it's like a cup handle type look. I wouldn't buy big here because of how volatile this stock is. These are huge moves, these candlesticks, but it's trading real bullishly in my opinion. And then I like this stock, LMNX. I need it to get above the T line. It's another one of those stocks that didn't even really care about the coronavirus sell-off. Ran up real big, and now it's pulling back, I think, constructively. It looks most constructive on the weekly chart. So far, this is a modest 26% pullback, and you can see there's support on the weekly chart coming into this thing. So if it were to have a good day tomorrow and close above the T line, I wouldn't buy big because of how volatile the stock is, but I might start a position in it and just see, buy, say, 20% here and then see what happens. And then if it starts making the right side of a structure, I'd make the position bigger. But I like this company if it can get above the T line, but it's still too early. Like, I'm not in this, obviously. Then two more tickers that I'm kind of interested in. I guess three more. Not Tesla. Taiwan Semiconductor, it's cleared its downtrend line. That's really high volume. It's a little bit of an early buy, but semiconductors have been hot. This company's got really good earnings, and really, I guess the early buy was yesterday or this morning, but I still think it's buyable in this general zone right here. And I'm going to be watching this tomorrow and might start a position in it. And then the next one, Costco, same thing. You draw that downtrend line. This is like a cup with a handle. It looks better on the weekly chart. You can see the cup and then the handle, and it's clearing a downtrend line. So if Costco were to be green tomorrow, I think that's a way into Costco, and I like the stock. And then the last one, the strategic education. I see this as a big double bottom. Looks better on a weekly chart. You can see it as a big double bottom, and it's breaking out. It doesn't quite have volume, but it's showing a lot of strength right now, and it's holding the short-term moving averages. So this is another one I'm kind of interested in maybe purchasing. So that's a little bit of what I'm looking at. I can't be too aggressive because I use three things to judge how much risk I take. Thing number one are the indexes. So are the indexes bullish, which in this case, yes, the indexes are very bullish. We're in an uptrend. There's very little distribution. Today was a distribution day, though, so there is signs of some weakness in the market right now. There's 2 distribution days, which it's not really worrisome until you get to 4 or 5, but there are some signs of selling. But the indexes are bullish, and then leading stocks are questionable because some leading stocks like ASML are doing just fine, which I'm not in this stock, but that's doing just fine. Other leading stocks like Netflix have been weak lately. So leading stocks get like a sideways, and then my portfolio performance. That's the three things: it's leading stocks, general averages, and my portfolio performance. In this case, my portfolio performance this week has been poor. And so, because my portfolio performance has been poor, I don't press the gas pedal. I trade big when I'm winning. I trade smaller and smaller when I'm losing. And that's one of the secrets to being good at trading. So, because I've had a weak week, I'm not going to really be too aggressive tomorrow. If tomorrow's an up day for me, I'm just going to kind of let that cushion build more than press the gas pedal. But that's some of my thoughts. Those are some stocks I like. If I were cash, I would be willing to buy one of those setups if they were to work. But I'm not cash. I'm in the market and I've got trades running, so I've got to intelligently add trades on and then reduce risk on trades that aren't working. So I guess as always, you know, I'm not, think for yourself. Don't just do something because I say it. And good luck to everybody out there. Let's tear this market apart. Let's make some money.